Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. We have a little update that actually that came into effect in 2022, but I'm just updating you on it now, and I think could become something that might be interesting over the next little while. We're going to see, and this is to do with wealth taxes, or the removal of some wealth taxes in Spain. So I'm going to talk about some specifics around particular areas and what this might mean for you, how I think it is interesting, and some of the conversations I've been having with some good friends and people who I know who are involved in the real estate game there, etc. So let's dive in and talk about it. Before we do, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the all notification bell. Don't miss out on any of our videos. You can hit that all notifications. And if you are new here, welcome. It is wonderful to have you with us. Thank you for supporting us. I am Michael. We at Offshore Citizen are some of the foremost international tax experts, Plan B, residency, asset protection experts in the world. And we help people with international tax planning, so how to legally lower their global tax as well as possible, especially dealing with multiple different countries, etc. Form companies for you, open bank accounts, get you residency permits, citizenships, etc. So if any of that is interesting to you, you can either reach out to me, book a call, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer. There's a link in the description below, or you can send a message through offshorecitizen.net. Okay, so Andalusia. This is the area that has made a nice little change. So, Andalusia, however you pronounce it, you can kind of get into that. But this is basically in southern Spain, the area probably most notably around Marbella. There's a number, kind of gathers a bunch of area. But just for some background on this subject, let's talk about the fact that Spain has a wealth tax. And so Spain has had some really attractive real estate for a really long time. Okay? I mean, first of all, the weather is fantastic. It can be some of the best weather in Europe. I think culturally it's really cool. There's tons to do. There's just like rich, vibrant. It's got one of the most, probably best, one of the top food scenes in the world. You have some very, very famous chefs, very, very famous restaurants. If you're into that, I'm super into like Michelin dining and things like this. And so, yeah, there's like some really great places, whether you're talking about in Barcelona or you're talking about some of the other parts of the country. It's really very top, right? So lots to appreciate is the bottom line. Like, I would say just tons to love about Spain. However, even if you're not spending all the year around there, if you buy property, that property is subject to wealth tax. Now, the wealth tax varies by the particular province that it is in, and this can be up to like 3%. Which is pretty high, right? If you just think, if you buy a $10 million villa, you're talking about 300,000 euros per year just to own that thing. So 10 years later, it's cost you an extra 3 million euros. 20 years later, it's cost you another 6 million, without factoring in the fact that the property is probably going up in value and therefore is going to be hit with more taxes based on the future value. So I have always, when I look around at places in the world where you can get really nice properties, I've always thought that the south of Spain in particular has some really great properties. You can go and kind of check out some YouTube videos on this. You'll see these beautiful villas in places like La Zagleta, etc. And they're great. And there's some parts where it has been pretty good deals. Now, I did notice that kind of 2021, it seemed like the number of villas that were selling for quite high really went up. It seemed like Marbella became more popular among certain crowds. You'd had kind of a period of time where all the Russians had moved in there, and they seemed to kind of move out to some extent. So you've had kind of this changing of the guard, I think, of who's been buying in that area. But this being said, it has been attractive. However, the prices have gone up, and so depending on where you are, it may not be as cheap. However, there are some really inexpensive places you can get for somebody who's looking for something else. I have a good friend who bought, I think he paid like 60,000 euros, something like that, in a little bit more inland, nice area near golf courses. He likes to golf, etc. So very, very cool. But again, for the wrong people, you're hitting with the wealth tax. Now, I should qualify, the wealth tax doesn't kick in until reasonable thresholds. So on 60,000 euros, you're not going to get hit with the wealth tax. It's like 700,000, you can have a couple, so you can double it, etc. But that being said, wealth tax is wealth tax, and if you're looking for really nice properties, then that's sort of undesirable. So what do you do to deal with that? Well, the good news is that Andalusia, this area in the south of Spain where it happens to have a lot of the really nice properties, has gotten rid of their wealth tax. So this makes it much more attractive. There is some really nice properties there in terms of like big lots, in terms of like just a lot of space. I come from Canada, and in Canada we're used to having lots of space, you know, big properties, big rooms, big yards, etc. And you can't get that in a lot of parts of the world. And so it's nice to be able to get what is pretty solid there with gorgeous views. I mean, you can be up in the hills and you can look out at the Mediterranean, awesome. You can be right on the Mediterranean, on the beach, awesome. So definitely pretty nice place to be if you're interested. Now, granted, the downside of this part of the world is there is a lot of crime in those areas, so you may want to be careful about which areas you are in. There's a bunch of burglaries and things like this, which is really unfortunate. There are some areas that are, you know, well guarded and safe, and you know, you've got gated communities and all this kind of stuff. So I don't want to say it's entirely that. And of course, you know, people can go a long time even when crime rates are high. But that being said, there is a lot of crime in that regard, and also kind of pickpocketing, other types of robberies in Europe, or sorry, in Spain in general. I think Barcelona is the only place in the world that actually been pickpocketed, and so not really cool. Coming from Dubai, you can say, okay, you could leave your cell phone there and go away for 6 hours and come back. Whereas in Barcelona, you can be walking out of a club and discover that you don't have your phone because somebody went and stole it from you. So, you know, a little bit of a different culture. But for people who are interested in real estate, like I said, in my view, the property prices went up quite a bit, and so I didn't really like that. However, given that interest rates are rising, and there's some reasonable chance that over the next little while, prices come down quite a bit, there's also some opportunities to get potentially some good deals that are distressed, some good deals that are in kind of pre-sale, like very early terms. All of those are opportunities. I think it's worth checking out this area that you might have avoided before. So I would have avoided it mainly for the wealth taxes. But now that they don't have the wealth taxes, granted, it's Spain, they could easily bring the wealth taxes back. They can't be trusted. The Spanish are terrible when it comes to these sorts of things. But that being said, I mean, if you want like a vacation home, I do think it's really beautiful and a place that a lot of people around Europe and around the world would be interested in. So that's the update. If you have questions, put them in the comments below. Please reach out to us if you would like help with any of the things that we're involved in, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next video.